Welcome to the Ancient Angels podcast. I am your host, Bryan. I'm your host, and today I have a special guest here, my buddy Izzy. He is, we're actually neighbors, but we didn't know that until sort of recently ish. And we're kind of in the same space. We're like in the same space, and we do the same kind of talking points. I think I talk a little bit more about demons, and you talk a little bit more about the occult involvement and more about the industry and a lot of stuff. But we have a lot of overlap. I realized, like, we kind of like, when I saw your stuff, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. He like gets it. Like, I understood that, like, you were talking about things that in MK Ultra stuff that most people don't know or understand. And it's a very, it's a very nuanced subject to try to understand this subject, really. It's very rare that people do understand it, but I think that's cool because you had someone in your family, in your life, that was involved in these kind of things, which is why you know so much about it. And today we're going to be talking about all kinds of crazy stuff related to it. And the demons don't want us to talk about it because this is the third time we have tried to go live to have this conversation about demons, the occult, and the industry. And every time, dude, the computer is like totally wigging out.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I honestly, I'm gonna be honest. So third time's the charm, baby. Here we go. Let's go. But no, I'm kind of glad this happened because now people know that I'm not crazy. Because every time I try to go live, there's clicking, there's tapping, it's all choppy, and it's completely unexplainable. And people think that I'm a moron. And really, what it is some sort of phenomenon that is inexplainable, or it is some sort of parasitic
Oh yeah.
individuals that are touching my technology, something like that. It's me. It's maybe I am the chosen one, you know? Maybe this mania,
sure.
maybe this bipolar mania that makes me run 10 miles a day really is right, and I am the chosen one, you know?
Bro, you just got to get the demons out, bro. You're good. You're good. You got this.
Yeah, no, dude, yeah, it's funny. No, but no, seriously, like, yeah, the occult is extremely nuanced, demons is extremely nuanced, and so many people, don't understand how nuanced it really is because it's intentionally vague, it's intentionally misleading. You have so many people who are like, oh, these people, they worship Baphomet and they don't even understand the historicity of any of it. It's way more complex. There are deities within deities. There's multifaceted, like, Satan is a multifaceted individual that is comprised of, many different complex deities and iterations and spirits. And, trying to make sense of all of it, in my opinion, is one way. It's like, Sun Tzu said, if you know your enemy, you're more equipped. He said something like that. I don't know exactly how he said it. I don't speak Chinese, but
Yeah.
something like that.
Something to the extent of that. That sounds about right. Yeah, dude. No, this is true. And people are like, no way, Izzy. I see him in the chat. No way, Izzy's on Demon Erasers. Ask him about the little season.
Okay, yeah, let's get into
Somebody
it.
asked you about the little. They said they asked you about the little season yesterday. But okay, that's something we might talk about. But we have a lot to talk about actually because I think there's so much overlap with the things that we kind of discuss, and we're neighbors, so that's pretty random.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, so he might be here more often. We're actually in studio, so this is
yeah. We
I don't
gotta. We'll
know.
make it happen.
Hi.
We're
we're
together.
actually we're actually in the studio together. But
Yeah.
yeah, so the pretty cool. And the thing is, like, I love that you talk about this stuff and you do kind of allude to demons, and there's a lot of deception even in the Christian community, and a lot of things going on, and you bring up these points and you talk about this stuff that most people are too afraid to talk about, which is kind of the same thing I do. And so I think it's like pretty cool that you've come to a similar conclusion with a lot of these things that I think I have in ways. And I think it's great that we've come from sort of two different perspectives and found the same sort of understanding in a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. No, it's everything.
Hmm.
What sort of Satan kind of does is he kind of inverts. He
Hmm.
inverts reality. He can't create, so he distorts. He inverts. He destroys. Right. And one thing we were kind of talking about this earlier, as far as like the demons go, is I feel like there are different ages, right? So the zodiac is not even the zodiac. Astrology is something, it's a calendar system, right? And I always talk about on my live streams and in my videos and stuff how there are different astrological ages. And within those astrological ages, the sort of forces of Satan change, right? Because, you know, nothing is stagnant, everything changes constantly. And I feel like people have this idea of demons in this current age, and it's kind of incorrect. People think demons are these big, scary, you know, monsters lurking in the corner, you know, like a horror film or something. And I really feel like it's kind of not. I feel like they're almost kind of like Dr. Seuss characters. If you've been seeing anything that's been going on recently, in my opinion, they're more akin to, you know, these very colorful, doofy kind of you know, not scary. It's almost like they're intentionally not scary, right? That, like, so you don't take them seriously, you know?
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, I will tell you from my experience of dealing with demons and casting demons out and stuff. Like a lot of times, the demons I think are very cartoonish in some instances. They're very immature. A lot of demonic spirits are very immature. They're very emotionally driven. Like a lot of times, demons are tethered to people's emotions like a child. They act like children. They scream like children. They cry like children. They tell on themselves actually like children, and they're just like totally uncontrolled emotion balls, and they are like cartoon characters. A lot of times they are pretty crazy, you know. And a lot of times when I'm dealing with casting demons out, there's this common thing that happens where the person will begin to smile uncontrollably. Bro, I don't know if you've ever heard or seen of anything like this, but like when I'm dealing with demon casting out, bro, I've seen it quite a few times at this point now, where they're just like, they'll just start like and they like wicked laugh and they smile real big, and it is like, it's really unnerving, but it's like, it feels like cartoon characters that I'm looking at half the time when I'm praying for people. It's some of them they're actually kind of funny too sometimes. So I gotta like try to not laugh when I'm dealing with the demons sometimes, because they're comical, really, and it's very different than what people think. A lot of times they are like, demons do have this comical, like laughable like side to them, and they're tricksters, they're pranksters, and they are cartoonish. And so it's funny that you've even come to this conclusion, not being somebody that casts demons out like I do all the time or dealt with it. I mean, like what led you to that understanding?
So what led me to that understanding is like what I kind of do is I have a really good sort of, I don't know if it's like a habit or a talent. I don't even know what it would be. I'm really good at observing phenomena and then connecting it. I always like joke and I say Holy Spirit activate, because I will take two completely different, you know, phenomena, and I will find a common thing between them, and it will actually be a legitimate commonality. It's not something I'm making up. It's something that I can source and I can prove. And last year around Christmas time, I saw this video that was talking about how the Grinch has surpassed Santa Claus in terms of Google searches. And
Wow.
I was like, that's a really interesting thing, because, you know, the Grinch is like, it's a fun little movie. It's like, it's harmless. It's like this really innocuous, silly, cartoonish thing, you know, but it kind of is a weird idea. This guy who hates Christmas, it's just silly, right? And I'm like, I wonder if there's something more to that. So I look into it more. So I'm looking into Dr. Seuss. I start reading about Dr. Seuss. You know, I hit that early life. I'm kind of learning about his entire upbringing, which is, and this all connects, trust me. He starts off, he's an American propagandist, right? He worked in the cartoon division of the U.S. military. So then he was hired as a propagandist, and he did cartoons, basically ostracizing anybody who didn't want to get involved in World War II. So the average citizen that was not interested in war, he basically used cartoons to call them Nazis. So this began a public sentiment of calling individuals Nazis if they didn't want to get involved in World War II. And you know, back then it was real, actual Nazis, like there was an actual threat in Europe or whatever, right? And I just found that to be like really, really interesting. And you're talking about the smiling and their emotionality and all this other
People are
stuff.
commenting on your hat. Yes, his hat is definitely demonic looking. Like
Oh yeah,
I would.
okay.
They're all like,
Okay.
they're like his hat.
Yeah, okay.
But
Yeah,
whatever.
it's always something. It's always something. My friend made this hat, his name's Ass Pizza. He's a Christian. So, I don't know. This hat is like 5 years old before he was a Christian, but he is a Christian now. You can go look him up. So,
Hey, but continue.
yeah, no.
We just have to point it out because people are like, oh no, he's a part of the agenda. Here's the thing. Like, here's the deal. Like, demons influence everybody in a lot of ways, and it happens regardless. And like, and they put their mark on stuff. That's the reason why the Sprite is called spirits. I mean, it's called Sprite. I mean, they put it in Starbucks. It doesn't mean you can't drink Starbucks. Take everything with a grain of salt. Understand that there's truth, even if there's like things that you might point out as occultic. You can point at anything and say that's occultic, that's occultic, that's occultic. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the involvement of it. Like just hear out what people have to say and don't turn against each other just because he's got some smiling hat thing on. Whatever. But
yeah, I mean, intentionality is everything with symbols. If you want to get into that, we can. I mean, if you're somebody who thinks somebody who's a Christian and literally evangelizing is demonic, you got to work on your discernment. Personally, that's what I think. Whatever. I'm a Christian, is what it is. But yeah, as far as like kind of what I was saying goes, is like the recent events have shown that these people they kind of can't help themselves. Like it's like you're saying, the smiling, the giddiness, the emotionality is like coming through. And I feel like, it's really showing itself with the recent events,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. And I just feel like,
dude, have you seen those recent events with the stuff? Wait, bro, there was one guy that had a candle lit and he was like, did you see the one with the dude that had the candle? And he was like talking about, so Charlie Kirk got shot. And then he just starts smiling wickedly.
oh, yeah, the older guy. The older guy.
Yeah, dude.
I have that video on my phone. It's fucking insane.
Dude, that guy is that is definitely, he conjured a demon, we'll say, for sure. And so like that guy was definitely demonically influenced, and that thing speaking through him, that wasn't him, guys. And there's like a girl that was doing it too, and she was like laughing. Bro, when I see this stuff, I'm like, that's straight up a demon talking through that guy right now. Or that girl, I saw a girl doing the same kind of thing.
Well, did you see when he was talking? Did you notice his mouth? He was clicking his tongue while he was talking. So he was talking, and then his tongue is clicking inside of his mouth. And it's just these very, because if a demon is to inhabit your body, it's excited to be inside of you because they're disembodied spirits. They don't have the hedonistic pleasures that they, were into when they were the Nephilim or whatever, right? So, no, yeah, it's just really interesting, and like all of that. I've just been thinking about that Dr. Seuss research I did like almost a year ago so much with the recent stuff, because these cartoonish people, these cartoonish characters that are like these far left, frankly, it's a trans cult or whatever it is, right? Trans death cult. It's like really cartoonish. It's like so over the top. It's like so wild. It's just, I don't know. That's just what it's been reminding me of recently.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, don't judge. It don't matter. Just like listen to the truth, because we all understand truth and understanding of things. So like the reality is everybody's at their own walk at the Lord too, by the way, side note, guys. So like don't be judging, because they're like, he said the F word. Like, you're on a Christian channel, bro.
Are we not supposed to curse on this show?
No, you're on a Christian channel, bro. There's a bunch of Christians watching you, a lot of them.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Don't judge, guys. He's got some good information and stuff to share, and it's definitely worthy of listening to. And so anyways, but yeah, you're absolutely right with that weird sort of caricature stuff that you see in the demonic realm. Like, it's so true, bro. Like, it is so true. And it is, it's very fascinating point you brought up, was that the Grinch is now surpassed Santa Claus. Like, what? That is crazy. Like, that is so crazy. Like, the world is like literally like, it's like you see culture shifting right before our eyes, and it's shifting into this like demonically accepted view for all kinds of things. It's super fascinating how this kind of stuff like plays into the world that we're seeing today. Yeah, dude. I'm just like it's very interesting to like see this kind of like play out and people don't even notice it. Or like the fact that like the blue hair stuff and like the leftist agenda, like a lot of this stuff is like demonically influenced because Satan wants to pervert the image of God. He wants to pervert that what your image is, he wants to take it and twist it and pervert it into like a thing that you are not recognizable of. You know, and I mentioned a thing about blue hair on a video that just went viral and it's like blowing up and everybody's like, oh, this guy's crazy, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you something real quick about blue hair, just so you understand the psychology of the blue hair thing. Cause like a lot of people like that dye their hair radical colors and like the blue hair people, like a lot of the reason why you do it is because there's so much turmoil and brokenness on the inside. And so on the inside of you, you cannot control the inside. So what you end up doing is you end up like trying to find a piece of control on the outside to affirm that there's some control that you have of your life. But the reality is you're out of control on the inside because you have something demonic probably influencing you. And so I see blue hair and we see these radical colored hair individuals. And a lot of times it's just a sign that there's something going wrong tumultuously inside of them. It doesn't mean 100%, but it is pretty good telltale sign that this person's got something demonic influencing them. And most of these radical leftist individuals that we see is not, we're not judging. We're not judging, guys, just so you know. This isn't judgment. I'm just giving you an observation where you can see that, hey, this person's got blue hair. That more than likely they have something hurting on the inside of them. Okay, that's what you can do. It's not judge. You look at them and you go, hey, like what's going on? Like why? What you got the blue hair for? Like what's, you know? And you can love better, guys. This is a way of loving people, not judging people. This is a way of walking in unity with one another. You know, because people are broken and people are confused. And so when you see all this kind of stuff, it doesn't mean that the person is evil. And a lot of times that the demon's influencing them, they themselves don't even know that the demon's influencing them. Okay. They have no clue that there's something demonic influencing them. And so this is just a thing that you'll notice, you know, when you're dealing with these kind of things in society. A lot of times there's telltale signs that demons will give out. They give off cartoonish vibes. They pervert the image of God. You'll see distortions and like, you know, perversions of a person's face and all kinds of stuff with tattoos all over their face, and their hair will be cut weird. You know, the real one is like when girls, they do like the stupid haircut. Like, I don't know why girls do the stupid haircut, bro.
The super bangs?
Bro, what is with that, bangs? Dude? It is so...
Well, I think it's like an intentional just mockery of
God's beauty.
I mean, you got to people don't understand how proud God is of his creation and how, I mean, we were created in his image, you know, so the thing is to like when you're uglifying yourself, it's a mockery. It's a complete mockery of creation. And that's really what, you know, Satan is trying to do, or the devil or demons or whatever. Is it's not, they don't want to destroy you. They want to mock God and mock him for as long as they possibly can, right? And I think, you know, the thing is if you're talking about, like you're mentioning, talking about someone with blue hair in the video or whatever, and I saw the video, and it's not a judgment if you're having a righteous sort of approach to it. You can righteously judge things. I don't think that you're condemning. Condemnation is different than, you know, sort of having a righteous judgment in order to teach people and to kind of show some sort of wisdom that you might have that you could kind of give someone else. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't know. I feel like people really like throwing scripture around, and they really like to, you know, kind of come at people when they're really trying to be helpful. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, like the Lord, you know, he says judge righteously. It says to do that in the Bible. But when we judge righteously, what that means is not like we look at each other and go, you're the devil. Like, oh, I can't believe you have that. What it means is like, are your actions producing good fruit? Is the good fruit like relevant? Like, is it prevalent in your life? You know, is it like, you know, we judge righteously and be like, hey, you know, and we don't ever go, hey, you're a sinner, you're a terrible person, and I condemn you. We don't do that. Like, you know, when you're judging righteously, it's like, hey, bro, like your actions aren't looking too great, and I'm concerned for you, and I love you. Maybe is there something going on with your actions? Like we can like you know, do you need help with something? Like, are you struggling with something? What is it in your heart that's like broken that wants to lead you into corruption? Because ultimately, all corruption that we see in the world is just a reflection of something broken, you know. And so we gotta learn to love one another as Christians and walk in unity with one another, not condemning each other. Okay, not to like tell each other that everybody's the devil and everybody's evil and whatever. Like, we can reveal truth. Like, we can reveal it, and like as we discuss these things, like the understanding will convict the person if we're walking in unity and love rather than condemnation. You know what I mean? Like, it's about love.
Especially with what's going on right now. I mean, you see intentionally algorithms amplifying each side, right? Each side in a cartoonish manner. And it like personally for me, that's something I super struggle with. Like I have a real issue, not an issue. I have a really hard time, you know, displaying and feeling true love for people who are celebrating something that happened that's so horrible or whatever, right? That's something I super struggle with, you know, and it's like you have to still continue to pray for people and everything else, you know what I mean? And that's a very difficult thing, and that's the one that's hard for me.
Dude, you know, that's good because it's like, you know, you gotta love each other, and no matter what, you know. And a lot of Christians want to like hate on each other and condemn each other, but you're not gonna win people into Christ by condemning them. Just so you guys know, it ain't gonna work. Like, I mean, they're like people when they win over when you show them love. And so a lot of Christians, I have another friend, she's pretty popular. She was involved in witchcraft and the occult, left it because the Christians were showing her love. But as soon as she left it and she like made one wrong with, like she did something that she was like wrong on, they attacked her like viciously. And she was like,
Yeah.
this is worse than like witchcraft. She was like, I've never been attacked like this, worse than people in witchcraft. And it's like, dude, you just got to love people, guys.
Well,
Love people.
That's an interesting observation. The people I get it from the worst in my comments is always, ironically, is Christians as well. Like saying, "Oh, you don't," you know, like people flaming me for like being a Trinitarian or just like really random things that it's like we have way more things in similar than we do different. I don't understand. Like you're literally playing into that hand. You're playing into the enemy's hand when you do that because you know, sowing division and everything is kind of an intentional ploy of, like I said, the enemy. But that's what's happening right now. That's what we see going on at a grand scale from all kinds of enemies.
Yeah. Yep. We need to join together. Honestly, guys, we need to be in unity with one another and put the differences aside and walk in love for each other. Like, bro, we don't know each other. Like we just met. So like, but we're neighbors, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, well, I've seen his stuff, and I'm like, dude, he makes some good points and talks about some good stuff. So we're gonna talk about some of those good things. But now that we've gotten some of the judgment stuff out of the way, I think we can break into some more details about the demonic and what's going on in the world. What should we talk about, bro? I don't even know what we should talk about. Direction.
Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on anything going on right now? Because a lot of new. We were kind of talking before. I don't know if you want to get into that or any of the interesting.
You know, we could definitely talk about some of the stuff related to poor Charlie Kirk. I mean, that's an interesting subject still, I think, and I think that you know, we need to find unity in all this rather than turning people against one another, which is what they want. They want us to be like, it's the left, it's the crazy liberals, it's the racist conservatives, it's this. They want that. They want us to be fighting. They want us to be fighting each other. They want us to turn on each other and condemn one another. Because if we do that, guess what? Guess what? We lose and we fall apart because it's divide and conquer. Okay? When we don't love each other, when we don't love our brothers, and we don't love each other through the addictions. And bro, you mentioned like, did you struggle with drugs at all or anything?
Oh yeah, I was I had a decade, longer than a decade. I was a major alcoholic, and I was a big fan of cocaine. But yeah, it was like over a decade of intense. I wasn't like someone who had like 3 or 4 beers a night. At the height of my addiction, I was like a super high functioning alcoholic, full-time job, whatever. I was drinking like 30 to 40 drinks a day.
Dang. Bro.
So yeah, like 10 shots before work kind of guy. And part of my journey is I actually I died of alcohol withdrawals. I like fully, I had a massive heart attack. I died And what brought me back to Christ was I like met Christ. I like died and I literally met Christ. And then yeah, I
So it
came back
wasn't the
to life.
judging
And
Christians that brought you back to Christ? It wasn't the judgmental Christians?
no, it wasn't
Oh,
people. It wasn't
dang.
people mad at my
I
hat that I
thought it
didn't
was
know was a problem.
I thought I thought it was the judgmental Christians that brought you back. Shoot,
No,
missed
yeah,
it.
it was a really intensive, obviously,
Mhm,
experience.
mhm.
And then I've been sober ever since. I'll be it'll be 3 years next in like about 3-4 weeks. So
Nice,
yeah,
dude. Congratulations. It's awesome,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. Thanks, man.
So you had an experience with the Lord, and that's pretty cool, and it woke you up.
Oh yeah, it was and it's interesting because I was a pretty bad guy, like addiction will make you do wild shit stuff. All right. And and yeah, I kind of had like a heart attack, and after having like a huge manic episode, I was experiencing DTs for days because I had worked up an alcohol. I needed it. I had the dependency, and I didn't know. And I quit cold turkey. And I
Hmm.
actually, yeah, I was like, I met Christ, and he literally said, he's like, I'm sorry. This is what he said. He said, I'm sorry I had to put you through that, but that's what was required for you to come back to me. And he was crying.
Mm.
He was crying. Like
Wow.
Christ was crying when he said it to me because he saw how
Hmm.
hurt I was.
Mm.
And that's what sticks with me because just like these people who, are hurting so much that they're dyeing their hair and shaving their heads and mutilating themselves and mutilating
Hmm.
children, there's something that is wrong. There is a God-sized hole in somebody.
Hmm.
There is some sort of trauma, some sort of abuse, something horrific happens to them or whatever is going on. They're possessed, whatever. And it's pain. It's not like they're happy, right? Because that's why it becomes magnified. That's why it's a slippery slope, right? It's, first it's, whatever. One drink and then it's 30
Hmm.
and then it's 30 drinks and cocaine and then it's 30 drinks and, and all this stuff. So, but him showing me, you know, that he knew that it hurt me by him showing emotion to me is what
Mm.
made me ultimately like submit my life back to Christ. So
Dude, that's
that's
so awesome.
yeah,
Dude, that is
yeah,
such an awesome. That's so good. I mean, like it really wakes people up when you start to see the real experiences that people have. And everybody wants to judge the experiences. We're all on a journey, guys, and we're on levels of journey that we go that we're called to. And as we walk in those levels of journey, there's different anointings that befall you. Like for instance, like I don't drink alcohol at all. I never have. I've never drinking a drop of it. I've never smoked a cigarette. I don't even have art on my walls, guys. Like there's certain levels of anointing that we're supposed to walk in, and there's those levels of anointing bring different anointings in our life. Like those levels of righteousness that we walk in, God will purify you. It says he moves you from glory to glory. So as we go in that journey towards God, the closer we get, the more he cuts out of us and the more he changes in us and the more we become like the image of Christ. And that's just the journey that we're all going through. Like if you're not changing, you're doing something wrong. Like if you're not changing, you're boring. Okay? Like literally, we should be changing all the time. We should be growing, learning, changing as we grow. It's amazing. Yeah, so definitely cool. Definitely cool testimony of sharing that a little bit with us, bro. I appreciate that. Yeah, very, very, very powerful when you have an actual experience of change. A lot of people want to come to Christ and they never get the image of love because they came to Christ through logic. And they're
right.
like, "Oh, I determined that Jesus is the right answer because I read a bunch of books." It's like, bro, like that's cool. Like that's great. Like I'm glad you found the truth, but it's more powerful when you have an experience where you've actually like understood and you have that Christ love experience in your life. So, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
it's kind of like what we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Is there is obviously there's the logical deductions that you can make uh with scripture and this means this means this, what is this, like all of these. There's a lot of people online who kind of have these intellectualizations of scripture and theology and everything else. But yeah, I mean ultimately it's love. God is love, right? I mean
Yep.
that's what it is. And
Dude.
love is an unexplainable, you can't explain love, right? Or even, I had someone ask me, I did a stream yesterday and somebody asked me if if God is, if he knows everything, why did he choose to make creation knowing, the decisions of Adam and Eve, right? And it's kind of like, well, love is it is a decision, it's free will, right? You can't like force someone to love you. You can't force someone to submit
No. Well,
themselves,
that wouldn't
right?
be
Or
love at that point. You would just be following orders, and it would be no different than a computer. Like, it would
right,
be
yeah.
boring. It wouldn't be interesting at all.
Yeah, no, and it's yeah, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean that's what it is. It's as simple or as complex as you want it to be. You
Mm-hmm.
can know love, and hopefully everybody has felt love, and you can know that in that love, and then you can go into the intellectualization route, because that's ultimately what I did, right? Is I had this experience, this one of one experience that has shaped my entire life, and then being somebody who, I went to school. I have a degree in philosophy. I have a degree in economics. I'm like educated. I'm a big fan of a lot of various philosophers who have various ways of thinking and logic-based systems, and and then you can go on and do the intellectualization from there. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that further strengthens and
Mm-hmm.
emboldens one's faith. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can become an apologist or whatever. But I'm not really good at that stuff. But yeah,
The Lord has us for all different purposes, and we're to each speaking to each different people. You know what I mean? Like, we speak and communicate to different individuals with our personalities. We reach different people. And so it's like that's what the Lord calls us to ultimately. And it is love. God is the emotion of love. Like, you said it like that, bro. That's exactly what it is. He is the emotion of love. And people don't understand it when you say it like that. But when you realize it's the emotion, the actual feeling, the actual sensation, that's God. I mean, it's the same reason like when we heard about Charlie dying, it like everybody felt it. Like, you felt it in your heart. Like, I'm willing to bet you felt something. Did you not feel something, Izzy?
oh yeah, it's really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because I've been vocally critical of his stance on like
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, we'll say. Like I've been critical of that because I'm not a fan. And for some reason, man, it is like really affected me like a
You felt
lot,
it.
like so much,
There you
and
go.
it's
Mm-hmm.
been, dude, I'm getting teary eyed right now. Stuff like this doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I've had a really crazy life. I've had a really hard life. I've
Mm-hmm.
been through a lot of things. I get hundreds of comments a day, death threats. I get people saying
Mm-hmm.
crazy stuff to me every single day. Comments really don't bother me. I kind of, I talk about them often. Whatever. I've been through a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, I cannot like get over this. I can't. I'm like mourning it. It's really weird. Like it's completely affected me. It feels like the rules of the game have changed,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a senator, it's not a congressman, it's not the president, it's not some sort of, 50-year politician. It's a guy who owned a business. Turning Point USA was a business that he owned.
Mm-hmm.
And I own a business. Like it's just there's something about it that is just really really affected me. And it's the action. That was one part of it, and now the other part of it is seeing the reveling of someone's demise, right? I mean, before we started, I scrolled through X and I saw somebody dressed up like Erica Kirk and like mocked the speech she gave. I
Oh wow,
mean,
that's a little disturbing.
that's a level of hatred I
Mm-hmm.
don't think a lot of people understand. I don't understand it. I don't get
Dang.
it. But I mean, that's crazy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people can say like whatever, my hat's demonic. You want to see demonic? I mean, that's something that is a level I can't even. I don't know. It's just disturbing.
Dang. Bro, you're so spot on, man. Because like your heart, like, bro. I mean, like, everybody that is listening in the spirit or can feel in the spirit felt that Charlie Kirk felt that. Everybody feels it. Like, and that's your spirit. That's the spirit of God grieving inside of us for what has happened and what we've lost and what this person was to humanity, that was bringing truth and understanding, and wisdom. And that, yeah, he said some things that may not have been perfect or we didn't agree with, or he said things that sounded borderline insensitive. Okay. And a lot of it was insensitive, actually, some of the things I've heard. But like, dude, to do that, and like, here's the other thing. Like, I don't even agree with his wife. Like, I think his wife is probably a Mossad agent, probably, or connected. I think, but like, I wouldn't mock her like that, like in her grieving situation. Like, that's, I don't necessarily agree with what she's saying, but I'm not gonna go out and like make fun of that. I think that's a whole nother level of like, I can speculate and be like, hey, this is what I think. I mean, it seems like you're a handler for him. I mean that's what it seems like to me. But like, dang, that's pretty wicked to mock it.
Yeah, no, it's really crazy. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the levels of and the layers of this game, I really think that this situation has enlightened a lot of people to the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something today that they might have potentially have met on a flight to Israel. Is that true? I don't know, but that's something that I saw, and
Mm-hmm.
it had quite a bit of views, and it was
Was
definitely
she saying it?
definitely circulating. Yeah, and it was something that
She
she had said. It was
so
some
she said they met on a flight.
Yeah, and that she was nervous to meet him and that and
Mm.
whatever. So if that's true or not, I mean, I don't know, but
And
that's
then there's the
something.
kid video where they said they met in the restaurant, right?
Yeah, there's a video where Charlie's
Mm-hmm.
speaking
Mm-hmm.
to his daughter saying that him and
Mm-hmm.
Erica met in a restaurant.
So there's two meeting narratives out there, which would imply that maybe they did meet on the airplane, and then they actually went on a date at the restaurant, which is kind of what maybe I would imagine this is, if it's not a manipulated story. But simultaneously, like, how easy would that be to instigate a meeting of someone if she was a shield of some kind, or she was like a plant that was put there? Like, dude, they own the freaking airplanes. They could just be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna put this girl right next to him, and they'll have be stuck on a plane to go to Israel to have this conversation. Like, bro, that is so fitting. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty shocking. When you told me that, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, and it just
Mm-hmm.
gets weirder and weirder,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the more information that's been coming out. I mean, there was this stuff with apparently they had sort of a pseudo quote unquote intervention with Charlie, a bunch of people who were trying
Mm-hmm.
to trying to influence influencers to be more pro Israel with their online presence.
Which they've done
And
several times.
Right. And, apparently, now this one, I don't know if this is true, but apparently Candace Owens is diving into this one quite a bit and a bunch of other people, and they're going to be providing receipts. But apparently, he was offered $150 million from Bibi Netanyahu, which he turned down. And that's what sort of facilitated this intervention where he was starting to turn. And I don't know if any of that's true, but if it is true, those are some pretty serious and heavy implications. And the reason I'm saying this and pointing this out is because this event is showing the layers of reality that truly exist. There are individuals who potentially meet their wives on a flight that could be completely set up and predetermined, and people might not know. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like
Oh yeah.
it's showing
And
how
there,
the game is.
and there's multiple facets to it. And we're not gonna keep talking about the Charlie stuff, okay, guys? Like, I get that it's tiring. The reality is, though, that we'll talk about some other stuff here in a second. But the even if like that's his wife, like, even if she's a plant, it doesn't mean that she doesn't love the guy. It doesn't mean that she didn't fall in love with the guy. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have a heart for the situation. It just means her job was to report to Bibi Netanyahu that he's going to turn on you. You got to end him. And she regrettably did what she felt was the appropriate answer, because she's a part of the occult, and her mom's a part of the occult, and her dad's a part of the occult, because they're all part of the same religious viewpoint. So, when you start to look into it, you're like, this seems a little bit suspicious. And you can't judge the people and just like make assumptions and judge. Like, you can have your assumptions, but you got to like look for the evidence, or you got to be able to set it apart, and you got to take it with a grain of salt that we're all human. So even if you were put into a position, if she was put into a position as being a handler, doesn't mean that she doesn't have real emotions about the situation. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like she just shuts off all her emotions. She's not human. When you start thinking people are not human, that's the problem. That's what we've done to the Muslim community too. Like, we've like told everybody that all Muslims are just, they're animals and blah blah blah. And we've done this and lied to the whole world. I mean, imagine growing up. Like, I mean, like, there's some heinous stuff that Charlie Kirk said about Muslims. I watched a video where he was just like laughing about Gaza. He said that something from the rooftop. He made some joke about something from the rooftops, and then he was like, "Well, there's no more rooftops in Gaza, so they can't do that anymore," or something. It was very distasteful and terrible. But this was a long time ago, and he said that terrible joke. But like, he was literally, you got to think like this dude. He's been grown up with this brainwashed agenda in his head. He was told that Muslim. He probably never had a Muslim friend. He probably never knew a Muslim guy. He probably grew up in this little cookie cutter world where he was told, he was told that, this is the way it is. The Muslims are the terrorists, they're the bad guys. They're going to kill you and they're going to eat your children and they're going to behead you. And then he was told this his whole life. And then 9/11 happened, and it was 9/11 was the Muslims, even though we all know it's not. It was Israel. But we can just keep brainwashing him to the point where he thinks that every time he sees a Muslim person, they have this switch identity in his head that they're capable of just being this murderous group of individuals, when that's not true at all. They're humans, just like you or me. Like, sure, they have some religious things that are whack, and sure, they might believe some of that, but it doesn't mean all of them believe it. There's some crazy Christians, definitely some crazy Christians that are just as crazy as some of the crazy Muslims. Like, people are complex. Things are complex. And you have to have room and space in your heart with love for humanity, okay? Not judgment. You guys got to, like, not be, you got to learn to walk in that love and that unity. And you cannot take, somebody says, oh, I cannot take this. My soul is blah. I don't know what we're talking about that's making you blah, but yeah. Do you have anything else to mention?
No, yeah, I mean, people are complex. I'm sure I've said a lot of insane things that if you cut them all together, I would look like kind of a bad person or whatever. Everybody's super complex. I have this like video I'm going to be releasing pretty soon, and it's the idea is like it's kind of simplifying the way that esoteric knowledge is spread, and it's essentially knowledge of like the esoteric variety starts in a mystery school. Parts of it get leaked out, usually symbols or whatever, and then it's kind of changed and people misinterpret it often. And that's just like people, right? Like everything is an iceberg, in my opinion. Like everything is extremely complex. Everybody, has a lot more going on, and I feel like, people feel this need to express things in whatever way they need to express them, whether it's in a comment section, whether it's making a video, applauding something when you don't have the full picture. Like nobody really knew Charlie but the Lord and Charlie. Nobody really knew. So
That's great.
So, only Charlie knows his heart posture. I know he said bad things. I know he said nice things. So, a lot of people, I don't know, people are quick to have ideas.
Yeah, dude. Like, people are complex, guys, and you got to understand, even these people that are a part of the agenda, they're complex. They're being manipulated by demons, and they don't even know that they're being manipulated by demons, half of them. More than half of them, I would say, like probably 90% of them have no clue what they are doing, and that they are also just as clueless and just as manipulated as the rest of everybody else is. So yeah, it's very true. It's very, just have some peace and have some grace for everyone, guys, because if you don't got it, you ain't gonna get it.
Or I mean, like, look at the disciples. They were all wild boys. They were wild. Peter was wild, dude. He cut off a guy's ear in front of Jesus Christ. Like, those people were like, that's a pretty, like these people were of a certain variety, and I think that was to show the forgiving nature of God and of Christ, right? And I think that if we condemn every single person for every single thing that they do, an eye with a what is it? What is that saying? An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's totally true. And I'm gonna trying to make another moderator, but for some reason it won't let me make you guys moderators right now. I don't know why. But anyways, the yeah, guys. So thanks for walking in peace, everybody. This is good. Now what we want to talk about more is everybody's asking me to say things about the little season, bro. Do you know about the little season?
Oh yeah, okay, so I had someone in my chat yesterday was so excited to tell me about it. I know about it. I've talked to Paul Stobbs. I've listened to a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
your videos. I've listened to a ton of JT's videos. So I'm not I'll give you my stance on it.
Sure, go for it.
So I think there's a lot of stuff with it that adds up. I think a lot of it adds up. I think a lot of it looks good. My only thing is I think that it is contingent upon one line Christ said being taken literal when he typically spoke in parable. So he said, I will be back within one generation, right?
Well, also, no, it's not just the one. It's also some of you standing here today will not taste death till you see
Right,
the Son of
okay.
Man coming in clouds.
Okay.
And there's actually more. Actually, there's more
Okay,
lines.
yeah, no, because I want
You
you
wanna
to
keep going?
I want you to give it to me because I'm one of those people. I'm right there. My whole so besides that, my whole thing is it's such a big theory. If I get it wrong, right? Because Christ says that those who like teachers will be not condemned, but they'll be judged more harshly than their students. So
Yeah.
if I'm teaching something and I'm wrong, I don't want to have to get BTFO'd for
I get what you
teaching
mean.
something I might be super wrong about because it's such a big theory, but I'm super interested in it, and there are a lot of things about it that I do actually agree with.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I mean, if I was to like break it down in a lot of ways, I mean, there's so many parts, biblically that kind of line up, but he does say like that verse I was just sharing with you, he says specifically, he says this, some of you standing here today will not taste death. So where are those people? They all died. Unless there's like some invisible immortal people walking around among us that we don't know about, you know what I mean? Like that question right there, some of you standing here today will not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Like people try to justify that. And they try to go like, hey, Jesus meant like the transfiguration when he came up on the mountain. That's what he was talking about. No, it's not, because he didn't show up in power. He showed up with Moses and Elijah, and he just said, shh, don't tell nobody. That wasn't coming in power with the angels in the clouds. Like that was just making yourself known. Okay. But here's the crazy part, bro. And when you get into reading history that they've deleted or tried to, it starts to really open your mind. Like, for instance, Flavius Josephus is this historian that wrote, he's a Roman historian who was Jewish, and he wrote about the events that happened after Jesus died. One of the events that happened, I wish I had brought it in the room because I could just show it to you directly, but one of the events that he talks about specifically was an event that happened right as the destruction of the temple happened. And during that destruction of the temple, he said that they saw that there was chariots and troops of armor in the clouds that the whole world saw, and it was the surrounding of the cities. And they said like it was an insane phenomenon. And when you read it, what he actually wrote, you're like, what's he talking about?
That's
And
okay. So here's the deal. I've never heard of this because
bro.
I agree that all of history is completely fake. Like a quick aside to agree with you. I went to the Dead Sea Scrolls exhibit in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago. It is the most insane propaganda piece I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. It's crazy. Because I love like history. I'm like super into all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And I was super excited to learn about the Dead Sea Scrolls because I'm a fan of Wes Huff. I'm a fan of Sam Shimon. I love apologists and all of that other stuff. I'm not smart enough to do it, but I'm interested in it. And I went, and it was just a massive. I was like, oh, history is so fake. History is such a massive lie. So continue.
Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls I think are pretty legit, but I mean I could see why you might even be skeptical of some of it. And the reason why I think it's legit is because there's things in the Dead Sea Scrolls that they don't like and they don't want people to read.
So more about the exhibit, and
tell me, yeah.
So okay, so super quick, like the Dead Sea Scroll was found between 1946 and 1947, right before Israel
became a nation,
fully became a nation, and basically the entire exhibit is to formulate and to solidify that Israel is a state. That's what the exhibit is about. So the entire thing is
that's nonsense.
Dude, they brought chunks of the Wailing Wall to the end of the exhibit, and they try to make you pray on it.
What?
Yes, dude.
Nah, it's disturbing.
Yes, it was really weird. It was like not, but yeah, no. I
Well,
don't
that's
think
them just trying to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, so I don't think that like, the whole thing is I don't think the Dead Sea Scrolls are necessarily fake, but the exhibit is insane. Yeah.
Well, of course they're going to try to bend it towards that. They don't want you to read the other text in it because you know what was found in it? The Book of Enoch was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, bro.
Oh,
Did
they
you know
don't
that?
say that. They don't
Oh
say
yeah,
that.
they don't want you to know about that one. I got a Dead Sea Scrolls book that I will show you as well. Actually, maybe the Dead Sea Scrolls book I can find it over there in the corner, and someone can bring it to me. The because I'll show you the Dead Sea Scrolls stuff that they don't want you to know about. No, not that one, the black one. There's another one, and so when I show you that, dude, you're gonna be like, whoa. That's crazy because it's very fascinating.
So the Josephus thing. So he said that there was chariots that came out of the sky. Wait,
yes,
no,
I'm
serious,
gonna read this to you, and when you read this, you're gonna be like, "What the heck?" I mean, are you good at reading? Because maybe I'll just give it to you to read.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is. I want you to read this, because it says. Actually, here I'll let you read that part. Oh, that's perfect. I'll let you read this part here in a second, but first I'm gonna explain this to you. This is Flavius Josephus's work. Okay. And so in it, it's pretty boring, and he describes all the events that happen, okay? And he's describing some interesting stuff. And there's this section right here in the Jewish War that I've highlighted all these parts. And when you read this, you're going to be like, this sounds like Revelation. Like, it's fascinating. I'm just going to read it to you. We'll see it's your live reaction,
cool. Okay.
So it says, thus there was a star that resembled a sword, which stood over the city, and a comet, which continued a whole year. Thus before the Jews' rebellion and before those commotions which preceded the war, when the people were to come in great crowds to the feast of unleavened bread on the 8th day of the month of Xanthicus, Nisan, and the 9th hour of the night, a great light shone around the altar of the holy house, that it appeared to be bright daytime in the middle of the night, which lasted for half an hour. Okay, now what does it say in the Bible? It says there will be silence for half an hour in Revelation. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of funny that he mentions for half an hour there's this
like specifically
this light.
Mentions the
yeah. It's pretty random. It's pretty random, bro. And this is the events that happen right before the temple gets destroyed. So we realize that the temple's destruction that we're talking about in Revelation is actually referring to and everybody's like, oh, there has to be a third temple has to be built. No, there doesn't. It was referring to the temple that was being destroyed at that time.
Okay.
So it's very obvious when you start to really understand what was going on, because even one of the emperors came into the temple and declared himself God, which it says when you see the the desecration of abomination of desecration in the holy house, declaring himself God, head for the hills. When he did that, the temple it burst into flames and everything exploded and everything just fell apart. So this happened, and they don't want you to know about all this stuff.
Dude, I'm getting like I feel like have you ever been in a fight? I feel like I'm like, I'm like charged up.
Bro, when you start realizing this, dude, it changes your perspective.
Yeah,
You're like, oh my gosh, bro, the sun stopped shining. Remember how it says in the Bible the sun will stop shining for guess what? For a whole year and a half, the sun didn't shine. Isn't that fascinating? In 536, 536 or 532, 536, I think it was.
I think it was 536, yeah.
536 AD. There was a year of darkness. No sunshine, okay, and the moon turned blood red. Isn't that fascinating?
Moon blood red is always yeah.
So when you start to recognize all these events that are happening in Revelation, you're like, oh shoot, we're well past that, because our narrative of the time frame of when it actually happened, it didn't probably happen in 536 AD, but we just know that it did happen because it's recorded in all the different calendars.
Right.
So we know there was no sun and people were eating their babies and everything was going chaos. So anyways. This is more of the events. We'll just keep going right here. So it says, and on the 9th hour of the night, the great light shone around the altar, which lasted for half an hour. Thus, the light seemed to be a good sign to the naive, as it was interpreted by the sacred scribes as to pretend the events that followed immediately upon it. As of the same festival, a heifer, as it was led by the high priest to be sacrificed in the temple, gave birth to a lamb in the midst of the temple. Moreover, dude, this is like so. Yeah, so like, and mind you, the rest of his writing's pretty dull until he gets to this
he's
section.
A historian, right?
Yeah, and you get to this section, and you're like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Like, bro, gave birth to a lamb, which is the Lamb of God, in the midst of the temple. Moreover, the eastern gate, which is the inner court of the temple, which is of brass and vastly heavy, and had been with very, very great difficulty shut by 20 men, had rested upon rested upon, let me get my clearer shot here. Okay. Which was made of an entire stone, had been seen to have been opened of its own accord about the 6th hour of the night. Now, those that kept watch of the inner temple came but running to the captain of the temple and told him of it, who came up there and not without great difficulty was able to shut the gate again. Thus also appeared to the vulgar to be a very happy prodigy, as if God did thereby open the gates of happiness. But to the men of learning, they understood it, and that the sanctity and the security of their holy house was dissolved of its own accord, and that the gate was open for the advantage of the enemies. So these publicly declared that the signals foreshadowed the desolation, abomination, desolation, that was coming upon them. Besides these, a few days after the feast, that one of the 20th day of the month of Artemis, Jair, a certain great and incredible phenomenon appeared. I suppose the account of it would seem to be a fable were it not related by those that saw it. Now, this is recorded in 3 different historians' documents, by the way. And were not the events that followed it of so considerable a nature as to deserve such signals. But before sunsetting, chariots and troops of soldiers in their armor were seen running among the clouds and the surrounding of the cities. Moreover, at the feast which they call Pentecost, as the priests were going out in the night in the inner court of the temple, as their custom was to perform their sacred ministrations, they said that in the first place they felt a great quaking and heard a great noise. Okay? And after that, they heard the sound of a great multitude. Doesn't it say about the great multitude in the Bible? Isn't that?
Wow. Okay.
And the multitude saying, "Let us remove from here." Like they just vanished or something. Yeah. Bro.
Yeah.
This is recorded in multiple Taticus.
That's so crazy. Cause I've like, I know the Little Season stuff. Okay. I've never heard of this.
Yeah. When you read this, when you read Josephus's writings, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
We missed something.
Yeah. No, that's huge.
It's not just that. They saw for a whole year, they saw a star that looked like a sword hanging. And what did Jesus say? From the east to the west, you'll see me coming.
Yeah.
Bro, they saw it. They saw the star.
Okay. So then would all of the saints then, let's just say the Catholic saints, are they the kings that ruled over the oh my God, dude. Okay.
Probably. Yep. They were and not only that, they fantasized them into distortions of it, but they were the kings and priests, it says in Revelation 20, that reigned with Christ for 1,000 years.
Right.
They just fantasized them into different narratives of whatever.
And so then the churches are complicit in hiding this, or what? Or do they not know?
I don't think they know necessarily. Like the Catholic Church maybe has some inkling of it, but I don't think they know, because I think what happened was when Satan came out, like the whole world became Christian. But it wasn't like Christian, like religious Christian.
Right.
It was like spiritual Christian. They all became one in unity with their hearts, and they loved each other, and they walked in love with one another. Okay. And then everybody, like the Christian community, like what the whole world was it. It was like we were all Christian and we all respected one another and everybody was equal. But when Satan was let out in Revelation 20, it says Satan will be released. And when he's released, he gets let out. And when he gets let out, it says he goes out to deceive the nations. And I think the first thing Satan did when he got let out, he resurrected the religions. That was the first thing he did.
Right.
And so that's why all the religions have a Christendom like bent ideology. I don't know if you know this, but every religion is literally Christianity but perverted. And like, for instance, do you know about Sikhism? I talk about this a lot on my channel.
I'm not. I don't know much about Sikhism.
You know the guys that wear the turbans and stuff? Okay, bro, they call themselves kings and priests. Isn't that funny? Right. And they believe in the 10 gurus. Sounds like the 10 commandments. And their last guru is a book. Okay. And then their guru before last tells them to read the Bible to gain more understanding. They believe in one God and one God only, and not to have idols. When they baptize themselves, which where do they get baptism from? They don't cut their hair because it's the Nazaritic vow. That's why they wear the turban.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Bro. Not only that, they are literally, they call Christians Nazarenes because it's from Nazareth.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and they call the word for vision means Nazar. It means Nazar, means the visionary, the one that sees.
Interesting.
Okay, bro, it all stems from Christ. And like, dude, they even have a Guru Krishna, which made the blind eye see and the mute mouth speak. What did Christ do? Like,
right, yeah.
They've taken, the narrative of this and perverted it. They have a guru that I think it's Nanka or something. He dies, he goes in the water 40 days and comes out, or 4 days and comes out 4 days. Well, Noah goes in 40 days and comes out 40, like,
right.
And so when you start to see all these similarities, you realize, like, bro, that's Christianity, but it's perverted.
Well, even like Islam like looks to Christ. They believe that's the one thing with Islam.
They believe that Jesus is
he's
coming
back. I don't know. That's what I don't understand about Islam. I'm so confused about it. So Muhammad is the prophet, but Christ is the one who comes back. And he's the one who said that. Always scrambles my brain because I try to like,
because it's Christianity perversion. That's why.
Right. So
all of it is a Christian. Everybody, Muslims were Christians, and then they got perverted into religion. They started going, "Oh, you can't do this. You can't wear that hat. You can't say this. You can't do that thing." And they started getting religious and started like condemning one another. And they created and reinvented religion, bro. Every Christian religion was the last one they hit the most because Christianity held on the longest. And guess what? In 1920, Jehovah's Witnesses were created. In 1940, Mormons were created. And in 1980, I think, what was it? The Seventh-day Adventists were invented. So they were all invented at the same time in the same regional area because they were the last ones to be hit. I got the dates wrong, guys, by the way. It's something like that.
Right.
It was 18. Sorry, 1800s. Yeah. It was 1820, 1840, 1890, something like that. But we were all within the 1800s because Satan was let out in the 1700s. 1776 was when Satan was let out. And right then, boom, 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 boom. You see all these religions resurrect.
So the belief is he was let out in 1776, which would sort of
that was his confirmational let out, but he may have been let out a little bit earlier.
Due to, and what's the confirmation? The creation of the United States?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, and that would be like the Luciferian illumination of okay,
and the Statue of Liberty. That's why it says it on the Statue of Liberty, 1776, because that's him. Statue of Liberty is Satan.
Well, and it's interesting actually. That would kind of further back up what you're saying is in Vedic astrology they believe in the yugas. And the yugas are essentially shifts. There's shifts, right? And they are 25,600 years. They're like these massive sort of Eastern zodiac shifts. Well, they have mini shifts that are 300 years. And they believe that on March, 21st, we shifted into a new yuga age, which is personally why I believe things are a lot different now. I think that we're entering they call it an age of Lucifer.
Oh, interesting.
And it's an age of illumination. So there's a lot of, and that was like around 300 years ago. They're roughly 300 years, these mini yugas, these mini shifts. So yeah, so there's some more like things to actually kind of bolster what you're kind of saying.
I could totally see it. I mean, like it's interesting because it's just distortions of what the truth was. You know what I mean? So it's like, what we're looking at is that we're in chapter 20, Revelation 20. So the little season isn't like, because there's this ideology, it's called like preterism, that like everything in Revelation happened. We're not saying everything happened. We're just at the very end of it. And the very end, it says Satan was let out. And like there's still more to come. Like there's still a Gog and Magog war potentially. There's still a bunch of other things that are going to be happening afterwards. But we're just at the very end and during the little season after all this stuff has happened. And like, bro, when you start to understand this perspective, like the crazy wards, bro, all the crazy wards, dude, those people in the crazy wards were saying they were resurrected. And you're like, wait, what? Like, the people in the crazy wards and the Cabbage Patch Kids, dude.
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Bro, where does that come from? They were saying these people were coming out of the fields. What does it say in Revelation 20? It says the rest of the dead will be resurrected.
And that's why they're called Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah, well, cabbage.
Right.
Yeah, well, cabbage means cherub. Right. And patch means portal. So cherub portal is Cabbage Patch in Hebrew. And you're like, the cherub portal? What? That's what it means. And so like, but people don't they don't understand this thing because it
Right.
seems too crazy to believe it. But when you start looking into it, you're like, there's a lot of evidence that's kind of pointing towards this stuff being probably true. Like, and
Yeah.
what we're seeing is the remnant of a lot of that stuff.
Interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
so in Revelation 20, so what part are we at then? Because I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super well versed on the actual, chapter by chapter of Revelation.
Yeah, so here I'll just read it to you then. So we're in Revelation 20, and so I'll just show you exactly where we're at. And it says, okay, then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand a key to the bottomless pit and a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent who is the devil and Satan, and he bound him for 1,000 years. How long was the Dark Ages?
1,000 years.
Just about, yep. And it says, and he threw him into the pit, and he shut it and sealed it over him, so that he might not deceive the nations any longer until the 1,000 years was ended. After that, he must be released for a little while. That's where we're at, the little while.
Right.
It says, then I saw the throne of those who had seated and those who had the authority to judge was committed. And also I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their testimony of Jesus and for the word of God, and those that had not worshiped the beast or its image. Okay. The beheaded and for their testimony of God, that's talking about people that saw Jesus, physically saw him, their
Mm-hmm.
testimony about Jesus. Okay. And says, and those that had not worshiped the beast or its image and had not received its mark on their forehead or their hand. And they came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. That was what we call the Dark Ages. It wasn't the Dark Ages, it was the Light Ages, which is why we built all the amazing cathedrals during
Right.
a time they told you there was no history and we didn't write anything down. Yeah, right. Okay. The rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years was ended. This is the first resurrection. The rest of the dead, bro, you and me, we're the children of the rest of the dead. That's what we are.
Which would be what? Wait. Okay. We got to break this down. So what is that? Is that bad?
No,
We're
it's
just
just
like,
we're just put into a different video game simulation with different rules.
okay.
The rules of this video game simulation is we got to love people and we all have the choice of Jesus. We
Right.
may have been the children or we may be the resurrected Canaanites and Philistines that basically never got that opportunity to know Christ. And so
Right.
God isn't going to judge them the same. So God allowed them to be resurrected maybe. And
Okay.
like that's why they get resurrected because they never had the opportunity to know Christ. So they didn't have that forgiveness offered to them. And God is just and he's fair. So he allowed them to be resurrected for whatever reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
because like
sense.
all up until Jesus shows up, everyone goes to hell except for the Israelites. And then when Jesus shows up, now everybody goes to heaven.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's kind of like, seems kind of like silly to some degree, but like when
Yeah.
you understand what it's actually saying, it's kind of alluding to the fact that maybe the rest of the dead is the people that lived prior to all of
Right. Right.
this. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it says the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years was ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy are the ones who share in the first resurrection. Over such, the second death has no power, but they will be priests of God in Christ and will reign with him for 1,000 years. Mind you, the Sikhs are seeking for their gurus who just vanished. They don't know where they went. They just vanished, and they've been looking for them.
Right. Which would be
And
like
that the
they were
saints.
caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just, and something happened, and we don't know. And when the 1,000 years was ended, Satan will be released from his prison, and he will come out to deceive the nations that are the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle. Their number is like the sands of the sea, and they march up the broad plain of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, but fire came down from heaven and consumed them. That's what's coming next.
Oh,
So,
that's good.
yeah, fire. Yeah,
Right.
they're gonna turn against us as the camp of the saints, which is us, the Christians, and the believers, and fire's coming down to consume them. So, and the devil who is deceiver, who deceived them, he deceived them. Deception is the
Right.
biggest thing. It's about deception, guys. Everybody, we're fighting deception constantly. So if you think you got it figured out, you're still fighting deception. Okay. The devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire with sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were already been thrown, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever and ever. Okay. That's Satan's judgment. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that's super interesting because, like, I've heard I think I've primarily heard Paul Stobbs's ideas on it. Like, I listened to a podcast that he was on. Um, but yeah, no, that's a lot. The eyewitness accounts that's pretty wild.
Dude, it's very interesting.
That's super crazy.
And you know what's even also more fascinating is that the 666 is not, it's not a thing in older Bibles, all of them.
Yeah, it's 616.
Yeah, it's a 616. And you're like, okay, well, why is it 616? Well, because in Latin, Nero Caesar's name translates to 616.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
in Greek, it's 666. So that 666 nonsense, that's all literally done. That already
deception
happened.
is, well, yeah,
Yeah.
666 would be a
That,
deception.
yeah,
What's
that's why they
interesting?
put it in everything, because they want people to believe this narrative.
Right. Yeah.
And we see a reenactment of it in Hindu culture when they put the little dot on their forehead, and in Ash Wednesday over at the Catholics, bro.
Right.
Because they were doing, he was making ash, and they would put the ash on their forehead in their hand, dip their hand, put on their forehead to buy and sell in the markets to show that they paid homage to Caesar or whatever. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so that's why you see, and so you're like looking at this stuff, like these are reenactments of stuff that already happened.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about the Catholic Church? I'm not sure how you feel about the Catholics.
Not a fan.
I was born and raised Catholic,
Mhm.
and there's something about it. Like since I've became Christian again, I've tried going to Catholic Mass with this new outlook I've had over the last few years, and I just like
can't
every
do it?
time I go, it's just not right. Like every
because it's not right,
time
bro.
I go, it's not right. And then I've been to like Orthodox Mass, doesn't feel the same as a Catholic Mass. I've been to Protestant masses, doesn't feel the same. Every time I go to the Catholic Church, does not feel right. And I'm not condemning anybody, but it's like, because a lot of people, because I've talked publicly about how I was considering converting to Eastern Orthodoxy. And because like I can't, whenever I go to Catholic Mass, it just doesn't, it feels weird. And I don't know why. And I think you saying something about the Ash Wednesday thing is interesting. That's an interesting.
Apparently they do it in Protestant Mass. Somebody says too that they do it there too. I didn't know that, but but like I went to a Protestant church just recently, and it was so dead, bro. It was so dead. It was
Really?
like not cool at all. I was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like it felt like very, very like dead of the spirit. And I'm not judging it. You guys go to the Lord. If you find truth there, awesome. Maybe you find logic and true understanding there. That's good for you. But like I went there and I watched them kissing idols, and I know that demons love idols. And so I had a person that was Catholic who was a ex high priestess of the Church of Satan on recently. I'm going to bring her back on, and we're going to talk about this stuff more. You'd probably get a kick out of talking to her, by the way. Because she do this craziest stuff. She's told me some stories about stuff that you're like, what?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, bro. Yeah. They use the Star of David, by the way, in Satanism to conjure their demons and the entities that they speak to.
Yeah,
They
well,
use-
I mean that's the original seal of Solomon, and
yeah.
I mean the thing is too is it's an alchemical symbol. So I mean the thing with symbols is symbols represent much more. It's the intentionality behind it. It means kind of whatever you want, sort of. It's kind of amorphous, but I mean. Like the triangles represent each of the genders, so when you put them together, it's like a Kundalini spirit rising type of sexual energy, which is a form of magic, is sex magic, sex energy, all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
relates to that too. So it's multiple. It's a lot of things.
Dude, it's there's a lot in there. People like a conversation, bro. They're liking it.
Okay, good. Well, that's good.
It's good. At first, it was like, I don't know if people are gonna like
At
this.
first, I was getting flamed. It's okay.
It's all right. But yeah, dude, this is like, the understanding of it is like, there's a lot of wickedness in the church. I think even Catholicism is even a resurrected form of perverted Christianity. I think Protestantism in the same way. It's all forms of distorting us to hate one another, to condemn one another, and to not walk in love and union.
Yeah, right. I mean, like speaking on Catholicism, like a little bit more, like, part of the reason I have sort of an issue with the Catholic Church is due to what they're famous for, with my family, like people in my family, myself have been through some really crazy stuff with priests and whatever else. It's in the middle of a litigation thing. And so like I personally doing all of my studying, whether it's with esotericism or the occult or whatever it is where I'm looking into this stuff, there is no way there is not some sort of systematic Malachian type of harm of children going on. It has to be something that is systemic because it just doesn't make sense otherwise that it's so prevalent. And I know it's one of those things where it's like it's not, it's not every priest or whatever. I know that, but I'm just saying for it to be that prevalent, there's something going on. There's some sort of teaching that is being hidden. There's some sort of,
Mm.
because there's orders within the church. Like the new pope actually was a part of the Order of St. Augustine, and these were a group of priests who are living a specific type of ascetic lifestyle where they take up hermitage with other priests. They live in like a kind of like a
Alone.
dorm. They live
Yeah.
in a dorm like a monk, right? And that's sort of the life that they choose to live. But the new pope, when he was a bishop in Chicago, there was a priest who, was a part of a molestation thing or whatever, and he like moved him to another location that was right across the street from schools, right? So,
Oh, disturbing.
yeah, the thing is, like, my point is, like, there's
Mm.
like the Order of
Mm.
St. Augustine, there's orders and there's things that are going on within, these institutions that we don't fully understand. So,
Dude, that there's a lot of psychological stuff there too, because it's like they tell them that they can't have a relationship, and it's like, dude, you're a man, bro. Like, what do you mean can't have a relationship? Like, it literally, Paul says, like, if you can't control yourself, get married, dude. Like, I mean, if you're a man and you're like struggling and you're like oppressing this type of sexual desires in you, and you're doing this all the time, and then all of a sudden there's like these children around you, and you're like you're not somebody that's able to control yourself, and you're not getting married, like, bro, the psychological thing for them, like, that's totally messes with their heads, I'm sure. And then they just like get so perverted in their thinking because they can't be married like they're supposed to be, and instead they just go into like these dark tunnels of perversion that they get attracted to. So it's like, bro, when you try to, like, God made you a certain way to like walk in love and like exist with one another and to love each other, okay? And to make babies. Like, God made us for these purposes. And when you deny it all the time, like, it can create all kinds of like resent or frustrations or whatever weird stuff is in them. Okay? The priests are called father. By the way, what are the Catholic Church? What do they call them? They call them parishes. Isn't that funny? What do you think that means? A parish? Yeah, because y'all gonna die. That's what it means. Like, they're setting you up to perish. Okay, and the Bible does say, "Call no man father." And I think, isn't that funny? Isn't that a verse? Do you know that verse? It says literally, "Call no man father."
really, yeah, I'm not familiar with that one
And
in
we go around,
particular.
yeah, and we go around calling him father, father.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I know. Well, I know, like in the East Orthodox Church, like their priests are able to marry, and I think like be fruitful and multiply is like a massive,
That's
like direct thing that was said. So
God
that's
says, what
interesting.
does he want? It says, what does the Lord want? Children. It actually says God wants children from you. That's literally what it says.
Right.
He wants more children with more friends and more family and more community. So anyways, but yeah, it says, call no man father, but your father in heaven. That's the Bible verse. Yes. Thank you, Trish. Yeah. So this is like a very, I mean, there's a lot of distortion going on. And it doesn't mean that, if you're Catholic, you can't find truth. And it doesn't mean you don't know the Lord. And it doesn't mean you don't have the Holy Spirit in you. Okay. We're just talking about the ideologies that are behind these things. Cause like everybody's got little bits of distortion that confound their perspective of truth. And it like leads you into like dark places of whatever kind of thing it is. Okay. So like, this is just the way it is. Like, it's the way the world is, and it's the way the wickedness has crept into things. And again, it doesn't mean that everything's evil. There isn't something good to be found in all perspectives. Actually, I don't know if there's anything good to be found in Catholic Church, but just that's just my personal assessment. I don't know about that. But anyways, there's a lot of distortion in that place that just is totally like, I don't know, man. That one is hard for me to like try to find peace in, but that's just my personal opinion, okay? Like, but anyways, yeah, guys, this is just how the way the world works. And so, we all gotta have grace. We all gotta have love for each other. We all have to walk in unity. Is anybody like saying things? By the way, is anybody like throwing up arguments? I wasn't really checking the chat. I know a lot of people get irritated with some of the things I was saying and that Izzy was saying, but um, you know,
It seems
seems positive.
pretty tame. Pretty.
Oh, we're positive. Okay, cool. That's good. I'm surprised people aren't like, you're doing it wrong. You said this wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's a pretty. Yeah, I usually like I've lately I kind of loosely look at it unless someone is just like going all in, and then I will, I'll address it or whatever. But people are like they get wild, man. Get wild.
Good. I love it. Charlie's detested Charlie detested both. What? I don't understand. Anyways, okay, we're good. We're good. They're saying we're good. Okay. So yeah. Well, anybody have any other questions you guys want us to talk about? Or are we pretty much we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, we hit a lot. We hit a lot. But no, that was the little season stuff is super interesting. I'm gonna have to look a lot more into it. I'm you've piqued my interest a lot more.
Bro, dude, I've got this series. It's called Ancient Angels Podcast. You're on it right now. And I break it down in a lot of the videos at the bottom. So if you start from episode 1 and go up, you'll kind of get the full understanding.
Yeah,
You'll be like, okay, cool. You'll be like, this makes a lot of sense. And it'll definitely give you like a lot more questions maybe. I mean, we're still all figuring out. All the people in the chat, they're all kind of pretty much most of them are on board with it. And they're all kind of like, this is, we're all finding little nuggets of truth, and we share it with each other because there's so much deception and lies at this point. We can't even determine what is true.
Well, I think that part of what I like talking about the yuga shift and things changing is like, I think that we're almost in a post-truth reality where, I mean, if you even look at like polls that, people have taken about like, was the person involved in, and not to bring this back up, but it's an example with like the shooting. It's like people are saying he's this, and he's like there's like no agreement on what the actual truth of what it is, and it's kind of like it's all distortion, like you're saying. Every single side, every single angle, it is all this amorphous, ever-changing, distorted non-truth, right? And so you have to come up for air every once in a while. And yeah.
Yep, that's kind of how it is. And when we walk in that rigid space where we condemn one another or say that this is what they are 100%, you're missing it. You're missing it. Bro, people are complicated. I've met people that I was like, dude, this guy is the devil. And then I met him and I was like, oh my gosh, he's just been molested and raped his whole life. He doesn't even know what truth is. And then and my heart was like, wow, now I get when that verse says, you know what the Bible says, bro? It says, anybody that says they hate their brother, but they love the Lord, it says they are a liar and the truth is not in them. Did you know that?
Oh, wow.
That's literally what it says. If you hate your brother and say that you love the Lord, you're a liar. That's what the Bible says. So I've learned to just be like, you know what? I'm just going to love everybody and try to walk in unity and peace with everyone because that's the only thing. God is love, dude. God is love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amen.
So anyways, thanks everybody for jumping in. And you guys are awesome. Thanks for walking in love, everyone. And maybe we'll have Izzy on to talk about some other subjects more often now that we've connected. So yeah. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me, Pete. This was fun. This is super fun. I love this. This is great.
Sweet. We'll do it more.
Yeah, absolutely.